And now, Tales from the Mission.
It's my first year, absolutely miserable. I was sent to one of the most northern parts of Canada that you can go as a missionary. None of the members wanted us, so I ate a Big Mac and I cried. That's all I did for Christmas
Merry Christmas.
Day. It was Merry Christmas.
That's right.
It was miserable. The second year was a lot more interesting. So we had this young member. He was only 17. He was less active, and he had a friend, and his friend reserved Christmas dinner with us like multiple weeks in advance. He had experience with the church here and there. I'm not sure if he was ever a member. He might have been at one point in time. And we're like, okay, cool. So we went over to his house. It was pretty, it was in this kind of sketchy neighborhood. He was really nice. He talked really fast. He seemed a little anxious. And he gave us both gifts. He gave us some Axe body spray, which was cool.
Hey.
I'm like, sure. I don't know what to take from
Yeah.
that, except we probably smelled. But
Is that a subtle message there?
yeah, we're sitting there eating the dinner, and then my companion looks to the 17-year-old over here who brought us, the member who brought us, and he's like, how do you know this guy? Because this guy looked like he was older, like in his 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
And this less active member, he's like, this teenager's like, oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. And the guy that we were sitting with, he's like, oh, I'm his drug dealer. Like, yeah. Like, oh, neat. Okay, what a fun, cute meet we got going.
Yeah.
Like, this is
way.
Great potatoes we've got here. These are some yummy ham we're eating. Like
extra delicious today. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel very comfortable asking more questions. But I think he was his drug dealer. I don't know if he was currently.
Okay.
Although
yeah.
looking back on how like keyed up he was, I don't know. Maybe
yeah. Stay away from the salt shaker. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're like, let's just kind of let's wrap this up. I don't know. I don't want to be a part of any other transaction besides a spiritual one, essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I thought that was just
Christmas
really funny.
After all.
Like,
yeah.
the Christmas brings out the best of people, and like the drug dealer, he wanted some bros to hang out with. He wanted some missionaries to come and speak the word of God to him. And this less active member, he knew his friend was in need. So like everyone deserves to feel Christ's love. Everyone deserves the gospel. I wish I had a little bit of a heads up before going to a drug dealer's house to have dinner with him. I just feel like legally there could have been some issues there, right?
Sure.
Or I would have preferred to not know it at all at that point, right?
Right.
But it gave me a good story to tell, and it gave me a good insight into, sometimes drug dealers don't look like you think they would, and they give semi-okay gifts, which I kind of hope I was kind of expecting a better gift, to be honest, knowing his profession at that point, but hey, what can you do? So
yeah,
and he came to church the next week, which was awesome. So yeah, so don't be afraid to invite your local drug dealer to Christmas dinner with you. Like they need to hear the gospel too.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's nothing quite like the mission, where it puts you into all of these different circumstances, and there's no way that you can prepare for all of them. It's like the MTC cannot come close to preparing you for the situations that you're going to butt up against, but it's fun. A lot of people, you hear kind of like a lot of Mormon stories and stuff like that of like these missionaries that get back and they're like, I had this traumatic experience and it was tough and it scarred me and I'm not the same person and it's just tough and it'll be part of who I am for the rest of my life. And, it's just like, yeah, that's just what you signed up for, as well as like we are the most comfortable people in the entire history of the world. It's like,
yeah, well,
like to see a little bit, to interact with people that are a different class that you're used to dealing with. That's all right. You're going to be okay. You might see some pretty crazy things on your mission. You can either let them break you or you can become stronger and integrate them and let them become part of who you can be.
Yeah, I think there's a mini cultural complaint in there of we only focus on of the good things that come from a mission, because there are immense blessings and immense growth. But I think that the youth need to be better prepared for how difficult it is, because it is a fight every day. You are fighting for your religion and you're sharing God's love at the same time.
100%.
So it is not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be fun all the time. It's supposed to be deeply spiritually satisfying and it'll give you insight into yourself and into God that you'll never get anywhere else.
Right.
But is it just like happy-go-lucky? We're just baptizing people and sharing the gospel every day? Like,
Right. This isn't
no.
like we're going to go on a bus with all of our friends and go build a school together in Puerto Rico or something like that. It's like, no, this is it's a little bit different than that.
This isn't your typical evangelical mission. No,
No.
this is hard mode. This is
that's right. This is beast mode. Where I think the best mission advice I got was from a recently returned missionary from Paraguay, and he told me the best thing you can do for mission prep for serving in Paraguay is to grab one of those 5-gallon buckets from Home Depot, fill it up with cold water, walk outside when it's raining, walk 5 miles, dump it on yourself, and then walk back. And I was like,
there you go.
All right.
That's
and then I got on my mission. I was like, okay, no, I totally see why he said that. It's like this, it's not easy. It's the best kept secret of the church is how difficult missions are. But with that difficulty, you build up resilience. You become stronger because of it. And that sets you up for a lifetime of strength and a lifetime of being able to kind of draw on those experiences and say like, hey, I might be going through something tough right now, but at least I'm not back on my mission where things were way harder, where I had this companion and it kind of prepared me for this aspect of my life and things like that. It's like the mission is the stepping stone to your life at that point. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So my mission story today, it's not necessarily Christmas. I can't remember if it was around Christmas time or not. I can remember that it was hot, and in Paraguay, their summertime is when they celebrated Christmas, and so because they were Southern Hemisphere. But basically, there was one day where we were kind of walking along. There was this one family that we would visit, the Alvarenga family, and it was this mom, and she had a handful of kids. One of them was a baby, and we approached her, and she was less active. She didn't come very often, but she still received us, and she would, give us some water when we would stop by, and she loved to talk to us and stuff like that. So we would always go and just check up on her and make sure she was doing all right. And one day we went over to her house, and she looked terrible. Like she looked just like she had just been through a handful of really rough nights. And we started talking to her. We found out, yeah, she had been. Her child had been with fever for like the past few days and had not slept one bit. And so the child had literally been screaming 24/7. This mom had not been able to sleep. The kid was not eating. The kid wasn't doing anything. And so this mom was just at the point of desperation. She said, "Will you please give my baby a blessing?" And we were like, "Yeah, absolutely." So we gave her baby a blessing. And as soon as we put our hands on her head, the baby stopped crying, which was something that had not happened for long spurts for a few days.
Wow.
So the baby stopped crying, and then by the time we had finished giving the blessing, the baby was asleep, and the fever had broke. Like she didn't feel super hot anymore. She wasn't super red anymore. She was just like completely back to normal. And it was wild because the look in the mother's eyes is something I'll never forget. She just looked up at us with this sense of like wonder and shock that God still remembered her and still cared about her, even though she had been inactive, even though she wasn't regularly going to the meetings and she wasn't doing anything. It's like God was still able to give her that blessing and say like, hey, let me help you get to sleep, in this time of need. And so that was a really, really powerful moment to me on my mission, and that has stuck with me for a long time.